In today's video, I want to share with you a case study with my client, Sam Johnston. With less than 40 posts, we were able to generate him over 7.2 million views. That is fucking insane because when you think about it, it's literally less than a month and a half of posting just by posting once per day. And without further ado, because I'm so ugly, he is so handsome. I call him the sexy Tarzan. I would rather have him tell all of you about how much Onyx has impacted and changed his life. So without further ado, Sam, welcome to the show. What's up, sexy Tarzan? How are you?
What's going on? Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. Well, hey, appreciate you getting on here and talking to everyone why I'm the organic goat of content marketing. So with that being said, man, let's not make this in fucking interview. Just tell everyone why I'm just the boss, why I'm a mobster, and just spill your heart out because I think you're so handsome.
All right, let's get to it. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously working with you was a huge unlock for me on the organic content side. Prior to working with you, I've been making content for, close to 5 years actually. And my entire audience was basically a result of one really viral video that I posted. Like I was creating content, but I only had one video that ever really took off. I remember I was at like 1,500 followers, and then I posted one video, and it ended up getting close to 7 million views, and it grew my account from 1,500 to 65,000. But ever since that point, like I didn't have a repeatable system or format to follow to repeat that process of creating like videos that would just bring in views and followers and clients. And I tried just to figured out on my own. I had worked with other content mentors and nothing really panned out. And then, we started working together, and the very first video that we ever created ended up getting 1.8 million views and bringing in over 20,000 new followers. So, and then, since then we've had a number of other videos. I think we've had 2 videos almost hit 500K and, a handful of videos in the 100 to 200K range. And, yeah, it's been a huge unlock for me.
And your entire average views have now pretty much been 10 to 20K on average.
Yeah, 100%. Very rarely do we have a video now that's sub 10K, but I would say, yeah, spot on average, like kind of baseline is like 10 to 20. And then, we're still getting pretty frequently, we're getting videos pop off to 50 or higher, right? So I feel like through the process, I've learned a lot of important things on how to script well, how to make engaged videos, how to film well. Yeah, it's been good and pretty crazy, honestly. I was shocked that we had that first video pop off the way it did, and I know that that's not going to be the only video that hits that level of views or bringing in new followers.
What do you feel like was different working with me versus like the other content mentors?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for you in working with you is you just gave very clear directions on what to do. Like it was like there was no guesswork around it. It was just, hey, go do this exact thing. And that was very helpful for me because I had worked with other mentors in the past where, they would provide instructions, but it wasn't that clear. It was theoretical, it was conceptual, it wasn't, hey, go do this exact thing. And I find that for me, I work best when I have very clear instructions to follow and there's no ambiguity about what action needs to be taken. So that's what I would say is the biggest thing that really helped me from the position that I was in to get to where I am right now.
You said like you had that one video go mega viral, right? And then obviously when you work with like other people in content marketing to get that mentorship, you would think it would have been easy from there, but obviously it didn't work. And then when you started kind of doing your own thing as well, before you started working with me, obviously you upgraded your editing and you had that badass editor, and your content overall was very like, holy shit, he's fucking Sam Johnston. He is the fucking sexy Tarzan. Why do you feel like the content didn't perform? Like, obviously you mentioned that they're very conceptual theory. And I just gave you like, just shut up and just do this.
Yeah.
What do you think you noticed specifically in the strategy?
I think it was just simplifying it, honestly. Like if I went and looked back at what I was doing previously that wasn't really working compared to what we're doing now, I think I was just making it way too complicated on myself. And also one of the things with that is that complication was leading to a decrease in volume from a consistency standpoint. So, you know, you really preached to me the importance of everyday posting, which I've finally been able to stay consistent with now for the first time ever. And also the simplification of, at the end of the day, if your audience doesn't understand what you're talking about, or it leaves them feeling confused, they're gonna leave the video. Like, it needs to be, you have to, I don't want to use the word dumb it down, but you have to simplify the language to the people that you're trying to talk to. Because I think in the fitness world, you know, we say all these things like, you know, progressive overload, calorie deficit, you know, RPE, and oftentimes we overestimate how familiar the people that we're talking to are with concepts like that, because we live and breathe this stuff. Yeah. So relating it back to who you're talking to, language is going to be most easily understood by them, and making sure that you're creating your content with the viewer in mind. I'd say those were the biggest things that really helped us get such quick results. And then, like you said, you know, I wasn't completely green to content. I think we both learned pretty quickly that my understanding of good editing was further than most people's. So I think, you know, I was able to come in from that angle. You were able to come in from the scripting and the consistency side. And that's, you know, why things took off so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like your personal brand was just missing that scripting, or do you feel like your personal brand was still lacking something beyond that you only were able to unlock after working with me?
It's a good question. I mean, I think when I think of my own personal brand, I think that there's still evolution to happen there. I think we're on the right track, and I think we're moving in the right direction. And I know that I actually see that as kind of the next level for me personally. I think we've cracked the viral code, and we're getting views and followers consistently. And I think that when I take a step back and look at where I'm at, I think that's the next level to get to, is further shaping of my own personal brand to really make that an N of one rather than just like one of 1,000 fitness creators on the internet. Right. But I would definitely agree that it's taken a huge step forward from where, you know, I was, 4 months ago prior to working with you.
Do you think that, like, because your content, like, you knew how to like set up the camera, set up your lighting and stuff. I taught you something very important, because like now your content looks very familiar, very consistent. Mm-hmm. Like, can you kind of explain to everyone watching, like, what was that, like, that thing that you were like, very interesting? Because like now, like, you are always at your kitchen, you always have that same look. Like, can you kind of explain about that?
For sure. Yeah. So a big thing that you taught me was the importance of filming in your area of expertise, right? So that if I'm in the gym, like, rather than being in my office talking about how to build more muscle, as soon as the camera starts, before I even open my mouth and say something, someone sees me in the gym, they know I'm going to be talking about something relevant to the gym. And same thing if I'm in the kitchen. So I try to format that. So if I'm talking about nutrition, I'm in the kitchen. If I'm talking about the gym, I'm in the gym. And that was helpful for me, because a lot of the time I was just in random places. I'd be in my, for 2 years, I was just filming in my office. And I think that when you understand how short people's attention spans are, they're just scrolling on social media. Half the time they're in a trance. Like, you have to give them as much information in the first 2.5 seconds that helps them understand, hey, this video is going to be relevant to me. So that was that in addition to the scripting was super helpful. And then you also told me to have my shirt off for every video, and that obviously helps with the evidence suggests the algorithm likes that. So it's fun. I'll get comments be like, bro, why are you never wearing a shirt? It's like, tell me you know nothing about marketing if you have to ask that question, right? And then I'll go on their profile, and their first photo is them on the beach without a shirt. I'm like, bro, what are we talking about here? So it's funny. You get some hilarious comments when your videos start going viral.
And then a lot of people, bro, we all know a bunch of names that say, stop going viral, stop going viral. What is your opinion? Because you've worked with a lot of content mentors. You've worked with a lot of names. What is your opinion about going viral? Because obviously you've worked with now me and other people that are like pro going viral. And you've worked with probably a bunch of people that are like, fuck going viral. What is your opinion?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the things about social media is to have a high performing video. Oftentimes you can't have nuance in your opinion. You have to take a very hard stance and say, this is the way, which we always know that if we're going to be reasonable in our take, like there's always nuance. Now, I think that when we look at virality, it can only help to have more attention on your page, because you can't persuade anyone to take action or change their behavior until you have their attention. So if you're creating this content that's never going viral, sure, it might be really speaking to the core identity of the person you're hoping to help. But if that content is only being seen by 500 or 1,000 people, good luck trying to build a business around that. I think on the other side too, if all you're doing is trying to go viral and you're not actually speaking to the specific type of person you're trying to help, and you're just trying to go wide and speak on high TAM ideas all the time, or high total addressable market ideas all the time, that's also going to lend itself to problems, right? So I think that there's an art and a science to this, and you have to be able to balance both, hitting those high TAM topics that are going to bring all the eyeballs in, while speaking to the specific pain points of the person that is going to have the financial ability and the desire to actually change. Because let's be honest, the majority of people on Instagram who are consuming fitness content because they're fat and out of shape, most of them aren't going to take action. That's just the world we live in. People like to give themselves the dopamine hit of feeling like they're making progress, but they don't like to take the action of doing it. So we to bring it back to something concise, I think that it's a game of both, and understanding what topics you can hit on that are going to go viral and bring in lots of views and follows and engagement, and then also being able to do things that are going to be more targeted and specific, and also understanding how to weave stories in there, because that's obviously a huge selling tool. I actually think the story selling is a more powerful sales mechanism than posting. But again, you have to have the followers for them to see your, we need to have that. We need to solve the upstream, the top of funnel constraint before we can actually make sure that the effort we're putting in on the stories are converting. So that's how I think about the difference between, virality and more sales focused content.
So talk a little bit about, like, you used to run ads. You had a bunch of 80K months before. Obviously, this is before you worked with me. And then obviously the ads took a shit. Mm-hmm. And now obviously you're still not running ads. You're trying to reconfigure back-end systems, because at the end of the day, it's not just go, go, go. Like, you know how I preach. I'm about sustainability, not just put the fire to the, and then, so like I guess the question is like, what do you feel about all these people that are pushing ads? It's a predictable system. Because now you've gone doing really well with ads. Obviously they just took a shit one day and you're like, what the fuck? And then now you're fucking famous, but you're still not running ads yet. Mm-hmm. Obviously the naive, immature business owner would just say, thanks, Ayush. All right, I'm running back up fucking, but you didn't do that. Mm-hmm. What's kind of like your take on that?
Yeah. So again, I think the right answer is both at the end of the day, right? I think that one of the things I'm going to be testing out here, which makes total sense to me, and I'm getting this from Hormozy, is you want the algorithm to find your winning pieces of content for you, and then you want to turn those into ads, which makes total sense. Like, why would you? It's going to be challenging to run an ad that no one wants to watch. So why would you not take your winning pieces of organic content that have been validated by the organic algorithm and then turn those pieces into ads? So again, I've seen ads work. I've seen organic work. Mm-hmm. Look, one of the things about being an online coach is you're not competing with the other trainers in your gym. You're not competing with your local marketplace. You're competing with the best in the world. So if you really want to be a winner at this game, you got to be really good at content. You got to look the part. You got to be good on camera. You got to be good at scripting. You got to be good at coaching. Like you need to be able to assemble all the pieces in a way, and then like your setting process has to be dialed. Your stories need to be dialed. You need to be able to show the proof, and there's so many things that go into this game in order for someone to truly be good. And yeah, I think if anyone's looking at it, and I know, look, on your stories you talk about like organic, but you also know ads can be useful when done properly, right? And your ads are going to work better if you have a really good organic ocean of high performing content, because that's going to inform you on what ads are going to be the winners. So yeah, as you said, like I'm not currently running ads, but I think I will be again soon, because of the fact that now I've got my setting process dialed, and also I've got, like, through your help, I've got a ton of winning organic creatives. So now I can lean on that to inform me on what my paid, what the creative would be on the paid media that I'm running.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like what's funny is, and I'm sure you can agree, a lot of people, they push ads as like cold DMs, right? Like get cold traffic, but it's kind of funny. We want to put money behind shitty creatives to acquire brand new people that don't know you exist, and we expect them to immediately buy from you. Versus, why don't we just make good fucking content from the get-go? They come to us naturally. We didn't put a gun to their head, because in a way, ads are in a way like putting a gun to someone's head, because like you're shoveling it down with the ad spend, that it just keeps showing it, that it almost forces them to finally say sure, but they still don't care. But with an organic piece of content, it does that same thing for free, but it also gave them value, since majority of the time ads are, if you're a blah, 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 and you want to solve XYZ problem, then follow me. That there's no value.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it takes more skill to build trust organically than it does to write a good ad script, film it, and throw it up in Ad Manager. So as I think we've seen an explosion in people getting into the online space over the past 5 years. And anyone, like, that was one of the things I think that led to my paid media strategy previously kind of fatiguing, was I just saw so many people running the same ad as me, or at least a 90%, an ad that was 90% the same as the one that I was running. So if we now know that it's very easy for anyone to run an ad that is quote unquote validated, then the differentiator is going to be how much trust have you built up in the marketplace through creating really good organic content. That's my hypothesis. How much free value through freebies and whatnot. So yeah, it's interesting to think about where this is all going to go. You and I have talked. I think that the ultimate game here is getting getting better at long form content, whether that's YouTube, podcast, just because with a reel, it's a great way to build up an audience fast. But if someone's only listening to you talk for 30, 40, 50 seconds, that's a way different amount of trust than someone who's listening to you for 20 or 30 minutes on a YouTube video. So yeah, I know, like, you and I have talked about that at length in terms of that being the strategy. But I feel really excited about the progress we've made so far. My audience has increased by 50% in a 3-month period, and I'm now posting every single day, and that's just not going to change. Like, I don't even, like, I used to feel like, oh yeah, great, I posted today. But now it's like, it's like, I don't feel like, oh yeah, I went to the gym today. It's just, that's not an accomplishment for me. That's just simply what I do. Right. And I feel now that I've transitioned into that point with the content creation. It's just simply, there will never be a day where I don't post. And yeah, I'm grateful for that, because now I actually, like, I used to have this thought. I was having this reflection the other day where I would be like, what would happen if I posted every day for 12 months straight? Right. And then 2 seconds later, I'd be like, that's never going to happen. And then now when I think about that, I'm like, no, that's probably going to happen. Like, I don't think there will ever be a day where we don't post, right? There might have to be some days where I have to, like, throw up something that is a little less intentional than like, a full 45-second scripted and edited video. But I still now, and now too, because I have such a library of high performing content, I can send a video to my editor and say, hey, I want you to chop the hook slightly and add new music. I'm going to repost this. And now the algorithm treats it as a net new piece of content.
Yep.
So again, the more content that I create, which has been a direct result of working with you, the easier it is for me to maintain that volume that's required to really be exceptional in this space. So, maybe in the near future, 2 posts per day is going to be the baseline. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I want to stick with 1 post per day consistently for long enough. But I also think about that because at the end of the day, as this market becomes more and more competitive, you gotta be fucking great in all areas to win. And being a good coach is just the minimum requirement, right? Like you have to be good. You need to be good at content. You need to be good on camera. I personally believe that good editing is helpful. I think a lot of people, there's a debate on that. A lot of people like that raw talking to camera style, which, hey, it can work for some people. I personally like having a little more production value in the videos that I post. But yeah, super grateful for you, man. It's been super helpful, and I'm excited about the path we're on and the direction we're heading.
I appreciate it, dude. Well, let's wrap it up with this one thing. You don't have to disclose names, but didn't you start getting celebrities starting to follow you now because the content was so fire?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like after when I had that one video go viral before working with you, this happened like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The lead quality was fucking terrible from it. Like my account blew up. I can't say I had a single like good call or good client as a result of that.
Yeah.
What I noticed in working with you is the people who are following me, these are other creators. These are people with like 300, 400, 500,000 followers, 1 million followers. Like they're looking at my content now. People that know ball when it comes to content. They're looking at my page. They're going, oh, this guy's legit. I'm going to follow him. Right? That was never happening before. So I think that's a huge unlock for me in understanding like how to create content that is actually perceived as valuable by other people who understand the content game. And yeah, that was a huge unlock in working. That a direct result of the work we've been doing together.
Yeah, no, that was sick. To wrap this up, just give a quick why the fuck people should just hire me and just give me their card and not have an excuse and objection.
Yeah, man. Well, look, I'll tell you why I ended up hiring you is because you had so many client results. Like you had people that were in the same position as me and they had seen very fast results. And that was really all I needed to see to be able to give it a shot. And I'm glad I did because I got an immediate payoff from it. So I think that the only reason I think someone could work with you and not be successful is that they're not following what you tell them to do. That was the biggest thing I was looking for, was very clear instruction on what action to take. You gave that. I followed the instructions, and look what happened. I'm sure you would agree. You probably wish I would follow the instructions a little bit more, but I followed the instructions, fairly well, and it's worked out well so far. But to your point, I probably could have followed the instructions even better. We'd be even further along. So, yeah, like, if you're not happy with where you're at with your organic content, then clearly you have to make a change, and you can keep trying to figure it out on your own. And maybe after a year or two, you do, maybe you don't, or you can work with someone who has a proven record of helping people in your situation, and you're going to shortcut the amount of time it takes you to get the results you're looking for. So, in the same way that people pay us to shortcut their learning curve and getting in shape, that's what you do for coaches with the online organic content.